So the next presenter here, represents a company whom we everyone know. They are a giant in the construction industry. Rahul Shah, he's the head BIM strategy for L&T. After working in UK for almost 15 years, he came back to India to contribute for the India growth story. So now Rahul is responsible in L&T to drive and implement the business-wide BIM strategy for L&T here. Please welcome Mr. Rahul Shah on stage, who will present us the business value for BIM for L&T ECC. Thanks.
Good afternoon, all. It's working. One of the reasons I've learned in my life being with the contractors for the last 7 years, one of the reasons that the jobs are delayed is because and architects in the room and designers, please take it in a light-hearted way, but the drawings are not received on time. And we are delayed because of architects never release drawings on time, right? And today, I think I'm almost 50 minutes late, partly because of, I think, Jai overrun as an architect. Where is Jai, right? Yeah. And partly because I think the overall Autodesk, as they claim that their technology helps improve time, cost, and quality on construction site, I think the time element, they failed, in my opinion. So we are running almost 1 hour behind our schedule. So I'll try and squeeze my session. But what I have done is, actually being part of the construction business, is I brought my construction manager today with me. Kishore, right? Just, yeah? So he's not a digital twin. He's real, right? So far what we have seen today, it's all digital twin, virtual prototyping, all futuristic things. This is real, right? So none of the workers on site are in suits and ties. So I don't go on sites, I go for some visits, but this is real. So he's going to show us some real stuff. I'm going to show you some of my thought process that went throughout my career, that shaped my career. I worked in different environment, right? I worked for manufacturer. I was lucky to work for a designer, architect, Jai, and builder, and as well as client side. So when people talk about, and I was also, I was always challenged in my career. The reason why I chose this topic is I was always challenged in my career. Whenever I went to the management, say, oh, I went to Autodesk University and I saw these futuristic things, right? We should do BIM. And the first question that they posed to me was, why? Why? Yeah? We delivered great buildings, great bridges, great monuments, Taj Mahal, everything. Why? Right? And that shaped my thought process, my career, and now into the strategic role to answer those why questions. But those whys were not only asked by the business leaders. I'm always curious to get those whys from the sites as well, construction managers. So when I go and tell them that, guys, you are going to use BIM 360, futuristic thing, because Nicholas told me that it is the future. And he would ask me why. I'm happy in my life, right? So I'll get into that why. But I know most of you know who we are, L&T, builders to the nation. We operate in multiple sectors. Some of the projects, we began our journey in 1938, very humble beginning. Today, it's a over 17 billion US dollar revenue a year, operating in 30 countries. So very proud to be part of this organization. So, how many of you visited, just raise your hand, exhibition hall today? Oh, quite a few. How many of you noticed this advisory? Right? How many of you are architects or designers in the room? When you issue your drawings, you always have disclaimers, right? You love disclaimers. Do not trust this drawing. Once in your hand. Now, you don't say that, but in a kind of way, you say that, right? Do not take measurements of the drawing. Do not take measurements at your own risk, right? You guys love disclaimers, right? And I know where it's coming from. Any lawyers in the room? No lawyers? Great. I think this BIM conference failed. We need to send the message to the legal industry that they need to prepare contracts and procurement routes that currently are very adversarial. Okay? So I was about to go into that VR zone in exhibition hall, and I saw this advisory, they call it, but it's a disclaimer, right? And I said, hold on. It's a damage, death, safety, and all those things. No, I don't want to take my risk of my own life. I don't want to go into that zone, right? So I thought I start with a disclaimer as well. So this is my personal disclaimer. Okay, so don't hold L&T responsible for what I say today. Okay? I love disclaimers. So, as I said, well, BIM, everybody knows. So I just start with this standard definition that I love it. Having come from UK, as Vijay said, spending last 15 years in UK, I'm a firm believer of this definition, especially this combination of words. And I think we've heard collaboration a lot today. BIM is about a collaborative way of working. It's not about Revit. It's not about Navisworks or InfraWorks or whatever the set of tools, right? And it's about improving time, cost, quality, but safety and sustainability as well of our built assets, right? And I genuinely believe that it can help us do all of those things if played right. For example, today, so BIM is about value creating collaboration. If any one thing that I want you to go away today from my class, obviously there were lots of things, is this, right? Keep this in mind. It's about value creating. You're creating value for your clients, for your society, for yourself, for your business. So what is that value that you're creating? So now value proposition varies from stakeholders to stakeholders, right? So if you are working for an Autodesk, for them value proposition for BIM is about selling more Revit licenses, BeamTFTs and Navisworks, right? Obviously they're into business. But if you're an architect, your value proposition might be different than the client. So I work for a client organization, and some of the value propositions for clients in the room. Any clients? Again, no clients. So it's mostly designers and builders in the room. But we are really missing the legal piece and the client piece in this conversation. So improved time, cost, and certainty is important, right? As a client, I worked for a client organization for 5 years. And as a client, the certainty of delivery and cost is very important rather than saving time and cost. Certainty is number one as a client. You ask any client in the world, and they will tell you that certainty is important more than savings. And the third one is my most favorite one. Better visibility of design and construction process. As a client, right, at the moment, I'm ignorant what's happening, right? Because you guys can come into an air-conditioned room, put up a polished presentation, and give me an impression that everything is all right. Don't worry, right? Because you got a bunch of paper drawings, you got a polished visualization, max visualizations, what's happening, everything, right? But imagine if I'm an educated client, and I know how to drive BIM model, and I have a dashboard that tells me, how many different types of wall types, door types, window types coming from your design in real time. Autodesk talked about the Forge platform. So that visibility is very important as a client. Greater client engagement, obviously, Jai spoke about VR experience. Is very important. Improving sustainability rating of our assets. If I'm a client, How can I demonstrate that? I don't know in India if we do BREEAM ratings. In UK, we had like BREEAM gold rating, platinum rating. I'm sure there is something equivalent here. In US, I think there is a LEED something. But the sixth one we talked about, digital built asset. Right? That conversation hasn't started yet. I haven't seen it. Our conversation stopped as we saw in McKinsey slide. By the way, any McKinsey guys? No. I think they need to change that slide. So that next gen BIM is not just 5D BIM. The BIM is moving beyond 5D BIM. 5D BIM has been there for many years. Right? And BIM is not just a design platform. The next gen 5D BIM design platform, it's not a design platform, guys. It's a real project management platform where clients get a real visibility of design and construction process. But if they get the digital built asset right, then they can get operations, asset management, everything right. Yeah? So this is one of the projects in London. A couple of years ago, I was personally involved. And these two people here are a very senior vice president level, visiting sites and reviewing site progress using what you call here in this world, LOD 500 models produced by the supply chain. So on this project, we had 500 plus BIM models produced by 30 different suppliers, like the subcontractor, because the whole job was packaged out. We were the main contractor, right? But the client, weekly meetings, right, used to review progress against the virtual construction model. Imagine the power of it, the visibility of design and construction. Right? I won't talk too much about client. Let's move on to the next value proposition for designer. I think Jay has already mentioned some of it, same, quicker design options. He was able to come up with, hundreds of, or Nicholas also talked about computing power, hundreds of designs in few seconds. Tatiana said, today you can have a 10,000 computer, power of 10,000 computer at your fingertip. Quicker design development, better design coordination, which is very obvious. I see that quite common here. Clash detections, coordination, everything. So I think we are doing okay there. And better design optimization. Again, Bureau Happel this morning talked about optimization, right? Optimizing facades, optimizing flows and people's flows and what have you. So again, a practical example, when I joined architecture businesses, this is how they used to design as a lead designer. They produce a bunch of drawings. They meet every week and they overlay drawings, right? They go back. They take the drawings back with comments. They do something with it. They come back and they overlay, right? That process continues until they reach a milestone and they issue a set of drawing to the client or public authority, right? We all know that that process is a slightly flawed process. Excuse me. It's a vector-based design and documentation, right? Coordination is very hard to achieve. Now let's fast forward that. Excuse me. To the BIM way of working. Where you start your design in a model environment, right? And then you overlay models when you meet on a weekly basis. Then you go back, you amend your models, you come back, and you do that process. Excuse me. And you can see the output is sort of similar. You might argue that, well, so what? At the end of the day, we wanted a bunch of drawings, right? But actually, it's much deeper than that. The outcome of this process is different. It's a well-coordinated design documentation. Your schedules, your drawings, and it's faster. And it's object-oriented design and documentation, coordination at model level and so forth. Right? So, most of you are aware of this, that we talked about a standard design palette. I think Jai mentioned about this. To reuse the standard design, digital design palette. Point number 10, right? So if you build your own object library, walls, doors, and I think we also saw a very impressive example of prefabrication by KEF infrastructure, right? So once you have your digital prototype models, you can send them for prefabrication. Think about your digital palette. You can generate drawings, schedules. How can I go back? All right, okay. So I moved on to, sorry, can I go back? So that was designers. I mean, there are many value propositions. Some of them are listed here. You know, design intent, maintain. Number 12 is also, I've heard a lot in the UK industry, when designers are very passionate about their facades, you know, their design, and they want to ensure that it is maintained, right? And the builders don't value engineer it. Now, half of the time builders will value engineer or design, and the intent would be changed by default because they didn't understand your design in the first instance, through your drawings, through your specifications, right? So you can maintain your design intent. That is another big advantage. Then you have, we move on to construction, right? Contractor. And some of the value propositions for builders, I don't know how to control these movies and whatever, this isn't supposed to come immediately, but you can see the 14, number 14, value proposition for contractor is to simulate the time program of a construction sequence and logistics, right? And as a client, this is huge for me, right? Because traditionally, you guys, I mean, builders, used to give me just a Gantt chart and just tell me that, don't worry, your job will be completed on time. But can you show me or demonstrate? No, it will be done, right? So again, I'm going back to visibility. As a builder as well, when we sign the D&B contracts, you know, we take the risk, right? We take the risk. And if we want to mitigate our own risk, we need to make sure that our own program works. So how do we challenge our own program? How do we validate our own program? And even beyond, how do we monitor the progress versus actual versus baseline? What you planned versus what's actual? And that's what this movie was supposed to show, where it, you know, simulated before I finished my speech. And then you have better safety planning. Global procurement and modularization we already covered this morning, right? Wonderful work that KEF is doing, right? It's not possible. Robotics, you talk about 3D printing, you talk about, you know, all other futuristic technologies. The foundation for that is a well-coordinated and a quality BIM model, guys. If you don't have a BIM model, you cannot feed it into machine or a robot, right? Or a cloud. So it's very important. And then as a contractor, it's efficient project management, improved project controls, and I would request Kishore later in the part to demonstrate that how he sees, you know, we talked about many people, many dignitaries today talked about changing lives of the people in society, right? But we have people on our sites as well, for which, you know, we have, for whom we have responsibility as a builder. We have hundreds and thousands of workers, our site engineers, construction managers on site, guys. So our job is to also think about their lives. How can we change their lives? So they feel motivated to come to site tomorrow morning, sharp 8 o'clock. Now I'm going to go on L&D site because it's brilliantly planned. It's safe for me. My family knows that I'm going to go safe home tonight. There are no risks. There are no accidents going to happen because I'm confident that L&D has planned everything well and briefed me well as a construction worker. Power of that, changing lives, very important. Not just the poor people, yes, we have to, but it begins with, you know, our own workers and our own staff on site. Then as a contractor, we talked about better safety planning, right? Imagine, you have a BIM model with all the site logistics, temporary works, coordinated with your design data. This is one of the biggest challenges we have in construction industry at the moment, that majority of the site reworks and accidents and delays occur because of the poor coordination between temporary works, logistics, and designers, your permanent design. Somebody's got to take a lead in it, right? And it's the contractor. We got to take a lead, we got to coordinate. That leads us to better safety planning. Once we have this wonderful coordinated data set, can we take that on site as part of site management, right? Then this is where Kishore is going to demonstrate that, instead of chasing papers, taking records on papers and then going back in the office and then staying up until late night and punching all the data into Word document, spreadsheets, yeah? And how can we automate that? And how can we change their lives on site so they can go on time home and they are safe? Modular construction. We talked about modular construction, right? I don't need to tell anything more about modular construction because it's evident here. It's shown in the morning, so I don't have to talk about it. But the point I'm trying to make is there is a value proposition for modular construction if you use BIM in a right way. Then what's next? Any product manufacturer in the room other than ourselves? Yeah, good. Do you use any BIM platforms? Yeah, what do you use? Navisworks, Revit, Inventor? Good. So, imagine guys, as a product manufacturer, the power of it, because I've been there, right? I can only talk about these 4 stakeholders when it comes to value proposition because I've been there. I'm talking for my own experience. The power of you being specified before any other product manufacturer is specified in drawings or specs, right? Increasing your revenue. That's powerful. So, and that takes your reach beyond your own region. So imagine if you have object library, whether it's Revit or Inventor or whatever, of your own products, and you host it in the cloud, any architect in the world can access your product library, insert it into their virtual object, or design, right, and validate whether it fits or not. Right? And you are specified by default. Right? So that's a huge one. Right? In UK, where I come from, we have this initiative called NBS BIM Library, National Building Standard BIM Library, guys, where all the product manufacturers' data is hosted. So you're designing your stuff in Revit, and you want to specify some kind of chair or a lamp, and you just type that in the catalog, and all the product manufacturers comes up. For your sake of convenience, if you are an architect, you want to get these drawings out by 6 o'clock so that you can go home and celebrate your daughter's birthday, you will select any one of them who is available, put it in. We'll think about the product manufacturer later. But once it's in, it might go through. Who knows, right? I mean, guys, I've seen this. Let the contractor deal with it. So it's huge. And there are other, we talked about innovative manufacturing methods. I don't need to talk about additive manufacturing. There was enough talk about additive manufacturing. Better handover information is something I think, guys, you should also keep in mind. So through BIM, one of the better outcomes that we want to achieve is to deliver, either as a manufacturer or contractor or commissioning partner, deliver a digital handover information so that I don't need to have a big room like this to hold all my paper O&M manuals and asset manuals and drawings. So again, if you're a manufacturer, think about it, the digital asset management. What's next? So I'm not a big fan of market surveys, right? Because if you work for McKinsey, value of BIM for you is producing more reports, right? And more reports about BIM and what's happening. But I particularly like this report, and I thought I include this. This comes from a group called BIM for Manufacturing. In UK, we have this process called, there are, I think, more than 50 BIM for groups. So BIM for designers, BIM for contractor, BIM for client, and BIM for manufacturer. And they did a survey of the real manufacturers. And that was back, I think that was last year. But you can see that the 40% already invested in BIM, 50% plan to invest. Oh, that was in 2014, actually, this survey. Make a pardon. And 10% have no plans. That was back in 2014, right? We are 3 years ahead. I couldn't get hold of the latest survey, so sorry, I couldn't include the latest. But you get the point, right? So as a manufacturer, again, we have only one manufacturer sitting in the room. What we want to have in BIM conference is here. To make it a success, we want to have all supply chain partners, stakeholders, including legal, in the room and have dialogue together. Because tomorrow, when you're ready to deliver your handover BIM, your lawyer will stop you and say, look, you are not, your PI insurance doesn't cover you to issue this digital asset. You start to have the dialogue now before it's too late. If you're a designer, if you're a builder. And also a message to clients, stop asking all the blanket BIM services in the contract. I want 4D, I want 5D, I want 6D, I want LOD 500, I want everything. It's not going to happen. You got to be more specific, like you are more specific about your physical asset, that you want a glazed cladding panel, you want this door, you want this toilet cubicle, right? You got to be explicit in what you want in your digital asset. Don't just think of it as your Revit model clients. Unfortunately, we don't have any clients in the room, right? So I think that's end of my speech. Oh yeah. So I just thought, I summarize. I like this colorful. Sorry, questions? No, later, mate. Yeah, we are already 1 hour behind. I'm happy to interact after this. So I'm going to do something special today, like Jai did. But this is different things. And we can start switching over, right? We can switch. I was told by Autodesk that don't do this because we've never done this before. It has never done before at Autodesk by any customer, right? And they were nervous. But at L&T, we believe that the future belongs to the brave, right? Let's try. If it doesn't work, guys, Autodesk is in the room. Fix it, right? If Kishore can't drive it, guess what? Autodesk has been training Kishore for the last 2 years. And if he can't drive it, forget BeamTFT. If you spend 2 years to train my construction manager, and if he cannot drive BeamTFT, forget it, right? We cannot afford. But I'm pretty confident that Kishore can drive it. So Kishore is our construction manager on one of the sites. I call him a digital construction manager. This is not his digital twin, by the way. He is a real man, and he's going to drive. We talked a lot about BeamTFT, and unfortunately, Nicholas is not here. I would have loved to have Nicholas here so that he can see also that his product is being used and demoed live by one of his maybe premier customers. But then we also have challenges, and nobody is fixing them. Right? He talked about Autodesk. This is a message for you. You talked about that BeamTFT platform, new generation is here. I go to Autodesk, my friends in India, they say this is not launched in India. So why are we talking at AU? Right? So don't give us a teasers and then give us the old version that is launched in US this year. Next year we'll get what is launched in US today. That's not right. You got to fix it. But we can only fix this if more and more customers create the demand, right? Because for them, what I'm hearing, yeah? So this is my personal, remember my disclaimer, okay? So don't quote anybody. What I'm hearing is that their conversation hasn't moved beyond Revit. You got to move the conversation beyond Revit in this market. Then and that Autodesk will be serious and consider India as a serious contender in this BIM global league. We are going to go into global league as a powerhouse, BIM powerhouse. We are already IT powerhouse, right? I mean, India is, come on, right? And this morning we saw KEF doing some wonderful things. It's leading things, right? And still, software vendors and other futuristic like Microsoft, HoloLens is not available in India. Why? Because India is, why? We got to create that demand, right? Autodesk friends are here. You all got to put that in your feedback. Do that for me, please, yeah? If you like this session, right? Put that in your feedback that we want all the latest Autodesk softwares that are launched in US, Las Vegas, wherever, right? Parallelly, they should be all launched in India too. Okay? Right? So we are going to do that. Right? We're going to do that. Because otherwise, it's no good you coming here listening to all these, future AI, machine learning, this and that. But sorry, it's not available in India. Well then, excuse me. I went back from this conference, I have to prepare a report to send to my management and say I went to Autodesk University, they talked about all these wonderful things. Oh, Rahul, can we have it tomorrow? Oh, no. So then why did you go? So I can't come next year. If you want me here next year, you got to give me the latest tools, guys. Okay, so I think that was enough of drama. Over to Kishore.
Yeah, thank you, Rahul. Very good afternoon, everyone. So today I would like to quickly demonstrate you
Just so that there's no ambiguity, anything that you need on BIM 360 is available here in India today. Just take out your checkbooks and sign. I'll be taking orders at the back of the room, okay? Anything that you want in BIM 360 available today here in India,
He's
today,
allowed
here
to
and
be
now.
defensive now. So he can defend Autodesk, but I am a customer, so I can tell my real story. Yeah, so I still don't have BIM 360 plan. I still don't have BIM 360 layout in India. And we talk about all the BIM 360 portfolio, even better. We are going into Forge, right? And I met a Forge developer. He's a brilliant guy. But then, guys, you're not giving us the basic tool to allow me to move forward in the Forge platform. Right? But that's because we are not raising our voice. We got to raise our voice. Yeah, we got to be a global leader. Move beyond Revit. I like it.
Yeah, thank you, Rahul. Fine, just as I said, I would like to quickly demonstrate you how me and my team at the construction project site were able to use this BIM 360 field on a daily basis. So as most of you might know, a typical construction engineer's day starts with pep talk, head count of the workmen, and then work allocation, right? So that is where I start using this BIM 360 field too, wherein I use this daily update option. So I just quickly select the day's report and then go to my workman count and then put which are the contractors that are there with me. So I just quickly add which are all the contractors that are there. So I'm just showing you a sample of how we can add up the contractors and then put how many people are there and then give the work hours and then quickly put which activity I'm able to, I'm allocating to them. So I just go to the activity tab and then say shuttering work. So, and then after giving the input of the basic workman allocation, I just make use of these general nodes to give any basic constraints that I can erase during the day-to-day activities. So maybe I will say tower crane breakdown is something which I would like to inform to my senior management or to the planning team so that they will be well informed of what is the requirement of the site. So I'll just put it, and then once I publish it, the information will go to the cloud, and then it will be published, and it will be notified to the corresponding teams in the project site. So going forward, assuming that I am planning for concreting of a slab in my site, so what, and then for which I need to raise a concrete equation, so which is a common thing on a daily basis, right? So to do that, what I would do is I just go to the 3D models part, select the specific model where I would like to pour the concrete, select the model, and then switch off the unnecessary layers that I don't need, and then go to the specific element where I would like to pour the concrete, and then select the element, and then go to the properties of it, say that change the status of this particular element from not started to work in progress, and then go to the tasks. So here is where the task is something which is created by my planning person at the start of the month based on his baseline schedule. So he assigns the tasks for all the site team as per the schedule, and then these where I update my day-to-day activities. So I just go here, go to my checklist, and then create a concrete equation. Take some time. Yeah. And then I select the basic things like which area I would like to pour. This is a typical format, an L&T standard format that we use, which we converted into this interface. And then here is where I select all the required items that I need to do. And then I can digitally sign in here saying I'm approving this particular equation, and then I raise it to the team. And then even I can take the photograph of the actual site readiness and then click in here, add in here. So I will take the picture of you saying you're all ready for this.
There is a snag here.
Yeah, it's already added.
Good.
And then even I can attach the drawing as a reference for my quality team or the batching plan to understand where exactly I'm trying to do the concreting. So I just pick the corresponding drawing which I would like to pour, and then mark on it where exactly I'm willing to pour the concrete. So I can make use of these tools, the markup tool, and then quickly highlight the area.
This is all live, by the way, yeah? So it's no videos or any animations. This is live site in Chennai. We cannot name the site because of confidentiality reason.
And then I assign it to my quality team. So here goes my concrete equation. So like this, all the site engineers and everyone on the site would raise their concrete equation on their iPads on site, and then which will be automatically compiled, and then the system will generate reports and send to the corresponding teams whoever need to be notified. So going forward, like let me say, parallel to this, even my quality and safety teams are also on this platform, wherein they make their quality or safety observations on this platform. So if I want to see like what exactly they have raised to me, so what I need to do is just go to my issues module and then quickly filter out which are all related to me. So I have various filtering tools here which I can choose corresponding locations where I would like to see the issues for. And then yes, there is one open issue on which is assigned to me. And then I could see at the last saying that material to be removed and housekeeping to be done. And it is open and location is at Apollo and ground floor. It's in the ground floor location, but where exactly is that? How to identify that? So there is a markup that is available here, so which is linked to my 3D model. So once I click on that, it will directly take me to the location where it is actually pinned in. So here you can see a pin which is attached to the 3D model element, so that I can clearly identify where this exactly issue is there. And then I can select the particular issue and see what that issue is specifically. So he says some material to be removed, but what is to be removed? So he had a photograph that he has put there, some material has to be removed. And then, okay, so he has done some stuff here, given me a due date of 15th December. And then, so let us assume after some time I do the rectification or do the housekeeping stuff, and then say I want to reply to the team. So what do? I just need to open the same issue and then go to my attachments, take the photograph of after the rectification is done. I will just pick it from the iPad, which I have already taken the photograph, and then where the housekeeping is already done and then cleared off. And then I will reply to the team saying that issue is closed, from my end. So I will change the status from open to work completed. And then I will say a comment saying that, I can give a comment saying that the corresponding issue has been cleared from my end. So what happens is they will get a notification in the background, and then they can inspect it, and then they can close the issue. So in this process, all this kind of database is created in here, and at any point of time, you can see on a real time what are the issues that are open, which are all completed, and then which are all closed. So this is how we can make use of the model. Apart from this, let us say coming to the end of the day, so after I do my day activity, like I do some concreting and I do some work. So how do I represent it back to my planning team or my senior management? So I can make use of this library documentation where all my drawings, all my method statements are there for my reference, as well as I make use of one option called daily update, wherein I can just quickly go into my daily progress update, and then I open a specific level drawing, and then I will say that this particular area concreting has been done on this particular day. So this is like a record on day-to-day basis which will get accumulated, and it can be sent immediately as a mail to my corresponding planning person, so that he need not wait for me to update him. So he can directly download the update, and then he can do his DPR stuff, and then he can send it to the clients or whomever it is required. So these are some basic things.
Progress model.
Yeah. So guess what, like at the end of the day, so as you had observed in the starting, I had changed the status of a particular element from not started to work in progress. So what happens in the background is we can actually generate a color-coded 3D model of the progress of our project based on the status of the elements that you have changed. So either daily basis or weekly basis or fortnight basis, the planning person or the progress monitoring person can actually run a color-coded model based on the status that is updated by the site person, so that the project manager or even the cluster team can actually visually see the progress of the site. They need not ask or poke the planning person every time, call him saying that, boss, what is the progress, send me the progress reports and all this. So everything visually, they can understand the progress of the site quite easily. So yeah, these are some basic, due to the time constraint, like I was not able to completely show you all the features that we are trying to use, but these are some basic common things that a construction engineer could daily use this particular platform to, which will ease his work on a daily basis. He need not go on and off to the project office to update something or to get some information back from the team to check some drawing or something like that. All the information which I need for the project is there on my hand, so I can make use of it.
So well done. So one big round of applause for him, right? And one big round of applause for Autodesk training Niranjan, who trained Kishore, right? Who is confident today here, standing in front of the audience for the first time. He sent me a message last night around, I can't remember, 10:30 or something. Sir, when can we rehearse? I said, what? No rehearsal. We are just going straight live. And he was very nervous. So this is for first time. So again, big round of applause for Kishore. And one request to Autodesk. From what I have seen, Autodesk University at Las Vegas, in London, and in here, the big difference I'm seeing here is that we want to need more users like Kishore standing up on the stage, not executives, right? Because we had enough of executives, right? Telling the stories. No executives. Yeah, we want real warriors who are doing the things. And Kishore, how is this impacting your life on site, mate? Yeah, switch on, please.
I can clearly say, like, see, day to day, you will have to carry so much of your documents with you, can be drawings. So you will not be able to carry the full A0 size sheet drawing. So what you do, you take A3 sheets along with you, so 10 copies with you, and then you need to highlight the area where you have done the work. You need to give it back to your planning person for updation. So much of to and fro work which is unnecessary for me. Like as a site engineer, what I am doing, do I need to execute the work, or do I need to follow up on this paperwork? So that is, those all things can be eliminated by making use of these mobile technologies, which Autodesk has brought in very well, I believe. So, yeah.
Well done. Well done, Autodesk. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Rahul, for that energetic presentation. After this demo, I'm sure there would be many potential customers in this room for BIM 360. And don't worry, we can service every need of yours.